I grew up in Los Angeles, and I went I'm a city boy, and I went up to Berkeley and studied Asian studies because I was fascinated by it. And after I graduated, I decided to go to Asia to see what it was like. And I met some back-to-the-land people. And then I started hitchhiking. And then I found myself out in the countryside and doing farming and out in nature, and I just loved it. And I fell in love with soil as my primary love. And ever since then, I've been doing things with plants and soil. My life changed. And then I decided to go back to Berkeley and I studied soil science and plant nutrition. And during the time that I was there, the issue of plowing came up, and the professor kept saying how bad plowing was for the soil, that it breaks up the structure, it messes up all the microorganisms, it gets rid of all the plants that are there, it leaves the soil open to erosion, it burns out the organic matter. So people were asked him, so why are we plowing? And he said, because we just don't know how to grow food any other way. So I kind of filed that, and a couple of years later, I was living on an organic farm in the mountains north of Kyoto, where we were practicing the organic techniques that they used in Japan before World War II. And I'd heard about Fukuoka and decided to go visit his farm. People had great respect for him, but nobody had been to his farm, so I didn't know what to expect. And when I went there, I saw fantastic fields full of rice, very healthy, different looking, a little shorter, deeper green. I mean, it was something different. And so Fukuoka-san walked up to me the first day that I came there. He saw me standing by the field and came over, a very friendly man. And he said, how do you like the rice? I said, I've never seen rice like this before. And he said, that's because these fields haven't been plowed for 25 years. And I was like, wow. Especially when I thought back to what that professor said. And here was the example that nobody knew existed. This fellow had figured it out. So again, I dropped what I was doing, and I wanted to learn how he did it. And then I found out there was this whole spiritual philosophy connected with it, and this way of life. And he invited people to stay in the orchard, to live, to help with the farming chores, and he would teach about his technique, and then teach also about the philosophy. And that led to 2 of the most wonderful years of my life. It was so much fun. It was not work at all. I mean, anyway, he had the students living that way because in order to gain the sensitivity necessary to practice this kind of farming, it's best to become one with it. And the way to do that is to live, we lived right up there in the orchard. We got to know the orchard so personally. It was wonderful. We grew all of our own food. The only things Fukuoka didn't pay us, that would have been weird, frankly. People have asked me, didn't he pay you anything? That would have just, because of the relationship, it's kind of like the teacher-disciple relationship that existed there. Payment, I mean, we were getting paid in other ways, let's put it that way, including all the food we could eat. We produced everything that we needed, everything for building the structures we needed, and everything we needed to eat and live, except that he gave us 10,000 yen a month, which is about $35 then. And that was to buy things that we couldn't produce. It's not practical to produce on a small scale, mainly soy sauce and cooking oil. And that's what we spent the money for. And otherwise, we had the grain, we had the rice and barley from the fields, we grew our own vegetables in the spaces between the orchard tree. There was fruit hanging everywhere, and vines and grapes, and everywhere you looked there was fruit. So when we would go out after lunch, we took turns cooking, and whoever was the cook that day would tell us, oh, when you come back in the afternoon, I need some squash and some potatoes and a little burdock, and can you bring some greens back? And we knew where they were because we worked in the orchard. The vegetables were kind of scattered here and there. The whole place, it was what they call an edible food forest. The real thing. It's a great feeling. It feels so abundant. And it's funny because we were living in these shacks, essentially, we usually in the summertime, we take the doors down and they'd be open to the elements, and we essentially had nothing. But I've never felt like I had what I needed in such abundance, and with no anxiety. It's great.
If you like this sort of thing, come on out to the forums at permies.com, where we talk about the amazing accomplishments of Masanobu Fukuoka, homesteading, and permaculture all the time.
Off-farm food, I would say, was somewhere around 5%.